Chapter 27. Shop. I could see Monster lying in the middle of the road. He had his back to me, and as I got closer, he lifted up his head. His tail thumped slowly onto the hot tarmac, his tongue dangling out the side of his mouth like he was grinning. "Monster, are you hurt?" I said. I heard an engine rev, and looking along the street, I saw a car was coming, and it was getting faster. I looked back at Monster, who was still staring at me, his tail thumping onto the ground. The car was heading straight for him. If he didn't move out of the way, he'd be hit. I went to step off the curb, but my feet wouldn't move. I looked down at my legs and tried to lift them, but they were completely stuck. It was as if my trainers had been superglued to the pavement. "Monster, you've got to get out of the way! You've got to get up!" I shouted, trying desperately to move. I looked at the car, speeding towards my dog. Through the window I could see the driver on his mobile, looking into his rearview mirror. "Monster, no!" I screamed. The car made a horrendous screech, and I woke up. My heart banged against my ribs. I stared at Reggie's lounge ceiling. It was a dream, but it had felt so real. Not being able to get off the curb and save Monster was agonizing. It was exactly how I was feeling now, trapped in this world where my dog was dead because I didn't exist. I had to get home. I got up, went into the kitchen and put the kettle on. I felt queasy when I thought about what faced me today. Today there would be no more nice Maxwell. Today I was going to be a shoplifter. Reg spent all morning chatting about this and that, but I wasn't really listening. All I could think about was how I was going to steal the phone case and how I was going to turn the world back to how it was before. I headed to the high street at the last possible moment. When I got to the phone place, my stomach was churning even more. It was a tiny shop, about half the size of Reggie's living room, and the man who owned it was sitting at the back fiddling with the phones. I'd been there once with Mum. The speaker on her phone had stopped working, and we watched as the man took it apart, removed a huge piece of fluff. He said there was no charge, so I knew he was a nice man, and I really didn't want to steal anything from him. I hung around outside pretending to look at the adverts in the window. When I couldn't leave it any longer, the doorbell pinged as I went in. The man looked up over his glasses. "Afternoon," he said. "Can I help?" I stuck my hands in my pockets and smiled. "Just looking, thanks," I said. He raised his eyebrows a bit and then looked back down at what he was doing. The shop was so tiny that just looking would take approximately 8 seconds. I walked straight to the stand of phone cases and slowly turned it round, trying to find the Union Jack one. There was one left, hanging on a hook right at the top. I reached up and took it down. It was the right case and the right size and exactly the one I was after. I glanced over at the man who was still looking at what he was doing. I was about to slip the case into my jacket pocket when the man suddenly started talking. "Speakers are amazing, aren't they?" he said. I froze. "I'm sorry," I said. "Speakers, I mean. Take this tiny thing here." He held up a slither of silver between the points of the tweezers. "This piece of mesh is a gateway to a world of discovery." I blinked at him. "Through this tiny square you can choose to listen to the cleverest scientists in the world, discussing the mysteries of the universe, or maybe the most beautiful piece of classic music ever created, or perhaps a cricket match being played on the other side of the world. Technology is amazing when you think about it, isn't it?" "Suppose so," I said, still holding the Union Jack case in my hand. "Take my missus, for example. She drives lorries, and she always has one of those audio books on the go, playing in her cab. She listens to those stories for hours and hours. She loves it. She's read hundreds of books without actually reading any of them. Brilliant." He was grinning at me, waiting for me to say something. "My friend listens to The Sun," I said. The man's grin fixed on his face. Why was I telling him this? I slapped the phone case in my hand. I couldn't exactly steal it now, could I? "The Sun," said the man. "What is it? A new band or something?" "No, the actual sun. He found some recordings on the internet. It was the sound the sun's magnetic field makes, or something like that anyway. Someone made a recording of it." The man stared at me. "That's incredible." "See what I mean? See what I mean?" He repeated, his eyes wide. "How incredible is that? The sound of a burning star. Amazing. Just amazing." He stared off into the distance, and I took the chance to step to one side, pretending I was looking at some reconditioned phones in the cabinet. I slipped the phone case into the waistband of my jeans, pulling my jacket down to hide it from view. "Did you know that in the 19th century they could make musical boxes so tiny they could fit inside a necklace pendant? Isn't that fascinating?" I stared at him and swallowed. A musical box. Wasn't that what Reg had called the wooden egg? My mind raced. The more I thought about it, the more I sure he called it a musical box. And there had been some noises coming from the box just before I'd been erased. Some kind of plinky noises that had reminded me of my sister's old jewellery box. But then I pulled everything out of the cabinet when I was trying to look at Reg's portrait. Had I broken the egg? It had definitely been lying on the floor. I was certain of that. "Anyway, were you looking to buy a new phone case?" said the shopkeeper. What size are you after? I feel my cheeks beginning to burn. The man watched me closely. Oh, I've changed my mind, I said, blinking back at him. He opened his mouth to say something else, and when I quickly turned round and ran.